Good morning. Ha ha. This morning we are going to talk about not losing your cool when the emotions get too big and not looking like this. Ha ha. It is Mornings with Mary, and welcome to a Monday morning. We have a lot in store for you today. But before we do any of that, I hope you got a giggle out of that, because I am actually terrified of werewolves. But my whole point was that you don't have to actually have that happen when you're losing your cool or when your kid is losing their cool. Good morning. We are not destined, right, to become that evil-looking monster. We actually have a choice. And believe it or not, it actually happens in the space between the stimulus and the reaction. Now, some of us have a bigger space than others. Some of us have a really small space, and some of us have a really big space. The good news is anyone and everyone can be trained to have a big space. But most people have a knee-jerk reaction, right? So, before we get started this morning, I just want to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. It's not a whole lot. First of all, I do these live every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock, and this is why. I am really kind of sick and tired of everything that's on Facebook and everything that's on YouTube being totally perfect. I mean, I don't know if you saw this morning, I actually posted a picture of me in my pajamas. Good morning, Becky! And no makeup. So this morning you now get to see me with some makeup on and out of my pajamas, all right? So the reason I do this is I really just want us to be able to sit down, have a cup of coffee, and be honest and be authentic. Because a lot of the times, look at this, I even have crazy hair going on. A lot of the times, still doing it. What I see on YouTube and what I see on Facebook, etc., is everything is scripted. And let's face it, life is far from scripted. I don't know about your life, but my life is far from scripted. And the reason that I don't post on Monday what I'm going to talk about Monday through Friday is because I really kind of suck at that. I look at it and say, well, what has inspired me today? Or what is it that I think that people really need to hear? Because the truth of the matter is, okay, I might plan out my meal plan, but it's really just so I can buy my grocery list, all right? So I have an idea of what I want to talk about, but it's sort of like, what do you feel like having for dinner? Do you want pizza, macaroni, steak, whatever it is? And that's sort of how I do these, because I'm sick and tired of everything being so perfectly coiffured and feeling like everything has to be perfect. And that's what kept me from doing them for so long. So you're going to get it live every morning at 9 o'clock. So today, we are going to talk about that little space in between, all right? So Saturday, Sarah had a complete and utter meltdown. We are talking 10, almost 11 hormonal meltdown. There was crying, there was upsetment, there was the inability to articulate what she was feeling. There was a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. And 10 years ago, now we have older children. We have 3 together, Rich and I, 2 from his previous marriage and 1 from mine. And there's between 9 and 11 years between our children. So the oldest, there's 11 years between Courtney and Sarah. And Reed and Elizabeth are 6 months apart. So there's 9 years between the 2 of them and Sarah. So approximately 10 years ago, when this would happen, when they would be flailing and having their tween meltdowns, well, Rich and I would handle them like everybody says to handle them. Send them to their room, yell back at them, put them in their place, let them know where they stand. I'm going to give you a little insight at what that did. So Rich's daughter hasn't talked to him in 8 years because this is how he handled it. Now, I would try to come between them, but who am I? I'm the stepmom, not my place. All right? He and his son have a very tenuous relationship, and it's all about being able to use one another. It's all about what can you do for me, not how can we be together. And as for Elizabeth, she has been here through this whole progression of maturity as parents, and we had to do a lot of work to undo that damage that did. So if you are still in that phase of you do as I say, not as I do, or go to your room, or whatever it is that you are instantly reacting, I have good news for you. You can fix it. I have bad news for you. You can't undo the damage that was done. That's just what it is. But here's what happened this last Friday. So Sarah was having her meltdown, and she was very upset. They've changed her glasses, and she was insisting that her change of glasses has made it so that she can't see things how she used to. She can't see the potential in things because now she just sees them for what they are. Now, earlier in that day, she had also tried eating egg whites again, and she had some glucose sugar, which was new to her. And Sarah is very, very sensitive to food. Not all children are. Sarah is. And so we're not sure if the reaction came from that or just came from hormones. We may never know. But the point being is that she was able to be in a space because she has been raised being able to identify her emotions. She has been raised being able to have a safe zone of having this emotion that's so big. It's just like, it comes over her like a tsunami, sort of like how PMS comes over us. Like, we're like, oh my God, you're breathing in my space. What the F is wrong with you? Like, go away. Why didn't you do anything right? Well, that's what happens to them. Okay, it's no different. And yet we expect them to be able to handle it better than we do as adults. Like, what's up with that? That makes absolutely no sense. Why adults think children should not have the right to have emotions is ridiculous. Anyway, so as she was having this emotional letdown, it was really kind of cool because my husband came in and he just sat there and he's like, well, how can I support you? What do you need? And he sort of just lay next to her as she railed. And she was like, I don't know. I can't do this. It all sucks. And we just let her have her time. And so then we were able to find the space between her action, which was her acting out, and her having her emotions, and us reacting. And that's where that pause is, where that space is between the stimulus and the reaction. So because we were able to step back and say, not about us, how can we help you through it? How can we lead you through this? Rather than shut it down, push it away, and not give her any tools to work with it, we had a completely different outcome. And the outcome was, when she was done emotionally emoting and verbally emoting, she was able to come and be held and feel safe and just unwind, because she had exhausted herself in a safe place. Sort of like how kids, good morning, Carolyn, how kids have a temper tantrum. That's basically what happens in their tweens. Okay, I have to go let my dog out. So we're going to go visit my kitchen because apparently Sarah's not paying attention. She must have headphones on. So we're going to walk into my kitchen. But the whole point is this, so when your child is having these emotional meltdowns, it's not about you, and you need to hold space there and be a leader for them, not be a manager. Remember, we talked about that on Friday, what a manager does. A manager micromanages, right? A manager has to be in control. A manager says, this is how you do it. The difference between a manager and a leader is that a leader helps you through it. A leader mentors you. They don't manage you. They don't tell you what to do. They lead by example. They are able to help you through this space so that you can find the ability to have your reaction or your action between the stimulus and your response. And really, that's the key. Your life just doesn't happen to you. All right? Things happen. But your life doesn't happen, right? I needed to get a new battery in my car. Well, apparently you can no longer just like take out one battery and pop in another one. There's like this big plastic thing that went over it. It cost me $400. Okay, so this didn't just happen to me. We knew it was going. So I can choose my response. My response was, I'm grateful I have the $400 to do this. I didn't have to have a flip out. Life is never about what has happened to you. Don't use your past as an excuse. Don't use your parents as an excuse. You own that space between stimulus and response. Now, how big it is depends on your emotional maturity. So if you're a child, that's going to be really small. You don't have the experience. You don't have the time on this earth to have enough understanding that you own this. That is something that needs to be taught by the adults. Okay? It's just not something that just happens and you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I know how to do this better. No. You have to stop and think. You have to stop in that space and say, what do I want to do with this? How do I want the situation to go? As the adult, it is your responsibility to be able to lead through that situation. You cannot manage a person. You manage a thing. You manage your books. You manage your household, meaning laundry and all that stuff. You don't manage people. You lead people. And that's how they start to listen. And that's how they start to respect you. And that's how they start to feel safe, because you give space for their mind, their body, their spirit, and their voice. And teaching them how to have a voice is super important. And having that freedom to have a voice means you as a parent take that time between stimulus and reaction every single time. So whether they are 2, they are 12, or they are 22, you don't react, meaning you don't redo it again. You stop. You think. You pause. Are they hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Any of those. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, tired? What does that spell? That spells halt. If it spells halt, then you need to do what? You need to halt. You need to stop. You need to think. You need to pause. And when you halt yourself, you halt the situation. Their reaction is not about you. It is only about you when you make it about you. Other than that, it's not. Don't absorb it. Lead them through it. Lead them gently. Let them have their voice. As long as they are not attacking you physically, verbally, emotionally, or mentally, let them have it. Put them in a safe space. Put yourself in a safe space. I mean, there are times I woke up yesterday and I was like totally pissed at everything in the corners. Look, I'm going to show you. This is the other side of the camera here. You see that? See that crap in the corner there? Yeah, that was like pissing me off. See that corner way over there? I'm assuming you can see that. That was pissing me off too. Like, why do we have to have all this shit? Look, there is not a corner in my house that does not have something. There is a fan. It over here, down here. Hey, Maria, look. Down there. That's a microwave that hasn't worked since November. Why do I have to have a microwave that hasn't worked since November in my room holding up an American Girl doll cafe? Because they weren't able to move it. All right, they weren't able to let it go. So my choice is, how am I going to react to it? Again, there's that space between stimulus and response. What am I going to do? It was my responsibility when I woke up and my skin was on too tight. Mine. No one else's. I woke up, nothing had changed. There was still crap in corners when I went to bed. I woke up and I was like, oh, why does there have to be so much crap everywhere, right? Well, how did I choose to respond? I chose to say, I'm going to pick it up because it bothers me. It's not bothering anyone else. And when other people came in and said, how can I help you? Rather than be like, well, why do you have to keep this effing shit? And why is it all here? And I didn't react. I said, thank you. Can you please be responsible for picking up A, B, and C? So I took the time to make sure that they had a direction. I led them where I needed them to be, and I didn't react and go over the top and get crazy. So, when it comes to finding that space and keeping your cool, it's very, very important to remember that it's your responsibility as the leader, as the parent, even as a coworker. Just because someone's an adult doesn't mean they have a skill set that is mature. Really? Like, I've met some really immature 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds that still think it's all about them. I've met adults that are having children that are having temper tantrums just like their child, and then they're angry that their child's having a temper tantrum as they have one right back at their child. Like, WTF? Why are you having one back at your child? What's up with that? You hold that space between what? Stimulus, reaction. Stimulus, reaction. What do you want it to be? It's up to you. Don't sit here and say, oh, my life did this to me. Oh, this happened. Yes, shit happens. It does. To all of us. When I was younger, I was 18 years ago, I was involved in a very abusive relationship. And one day someone asked me why I stayed, and I said, because I'm a volunteering victim. I obviously wanted it. So my response to that stimulus was, keep it coming. Okay? You don't need to have that. Saturday night when Sarah had her meltdown, I didn't need to play into it. I just needed to be there to lead her through it gently. Last night we had the same thing. I mean, my God, she had a reaction. We think it was to egg whites, and she was all very, very pale. Her stomach was sick. It's like the first stage of anaphylactic. She got a big bubble on her lip, and that's some scary stuff. And she was scared to eat. And we could have either gotten angry because she was crying because she didn't know what she wanted to eat, and we could have taken everything that we suggested to her that she said no to and taken it about us, that we weren't good enough. And in the past, that's probably what we would have done, like 10 years ago. Absolutely, that's what we would have done. We would have been like, well, fine, if you're not going to take anything I told you, then forget it. But instead, we sat down next to her. Rich lay on the kitchen floor. I sat next to her, and we held space for her. And you know what it took? About 45 minutes. And I was really tired. And I was hungry, and I was probably getting irritated and angry. I wasn't really lonely, but I was definitely tired. I'd been up since 4 in the morning. But whose responsibility is it to lead them through and to show them how to handle the situation? Ours as the adults. Ours. So don't freak out. Don't get angry at them. Don't go back and be like, oh, well, it's all about me. No, baby, it's not. Be the leader they need. Be the mentor they need. Be the one who is there for them. It can be really hard. It can be really, really hard. I get it. I get that there's so much freedom in discovering that you have a choice between stimulus and response, but at the same time, it is absolutely fucking terrifying. Because once you realize you have that freedom, you also have the responsibility. And that's where the scariness comes in, because no one's taught you how to do this. No one's told you how to do this. So you and your child are like going through this in the dark together. Like there's no photons going on. You can't see anything. And you're going through this blind together. Kind of like when your first child was born. You're both going through this whole situation all alone. They've never been a baby before. You've never been a parent before. You had no idea what you're doing. Well, it's sort of like that same thing, except that you now have that much more maturity, that much more age. So regardless of whether your child is a year or 11 or 21 or 31 or 41, because you're still going to be a parent forever. Kind of weird to think, isn't it? Like you put this person on earth and you'll be there forever. You can still hold that space. You can still be a leader. You can still change. It is not written in stone. Nothing that you do is forever. That saying, this too shall pass, so will this moment. Good morning, Crystal. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or something? Because I see people coming in, but I can't see any comments and I see no numbers at the top of how many people are actually here. So I can see your awesome little pictures, but I actually can't see if anything you say is happening. So can someone give me a thumbs up or something? Because it's kind of crazy in here. I feel like I'm just sitting here talking to myself, which is kind of annoying. I kind of want to see what's going on. So I'm going to type, can you hear me? And see what happens. Because I have no idea. Ah, there it is. Okay. I can see it. You guys are just really quiet today. Super duper quiet. So where is it that you guys find that you are losing your temper? Or where is it that you find that you need to discover that space between stimulus and response? Because that's a really important thing to understand and to conceptualize and to be able to move forward with. It'll help in your relationships with your partner. It'll help in any kind of work relationship. It helps with any kind of relationship in your life. It could even help with your parents. I know since my parents live in an apartment attached to our house, there are times that I just want to react like a child. It hits my buttons and I have to stop myself as an adult and say, here's the stimulus. What's my response going to be? I own it. That's what makes our reality. That's what makes our future. That's what makes our present, is our choice of looking at it, how we see it, how we move forward. The choices we make our life. We create our own destiny. So what destiny do you want to create for your child? Do you want to create a destiny where you are the one that just flies off the handle, that reacts to them, that makes it all about you? Do you want to be the one who loses the relationship with their child? We have that in my family. Rich completely lost the relationship with his daughter. Sarah has not seen her sister or talked to her oldest sister since she was 3. She has no memory of her. Sarah's going to be 11. She has no memory. We don't put pictures out. When she was little, it was too upsetting. But because how the relationship was handled early on, it means that there's nothing there. There was so much destruction done because it was all about acting and reacting and having the stimulus and no pause whatsoever. Just boom, right back at you as the adult. And my husband destroyed it. He absolutely destroyed it. And he's been trying to rebuild it with his son, but it gets really hard. And Lizzie's a work in progress. And with Sarah, it has been different. We've made these different choices. As Elizabeth says, Sarah got the nice parent. Well, Sarah got the more mature parents who've done more research, who have given it more time, who've thought more. So if you guys are making comments, I can see nothing, just so that you know, because you guys are usually pretty chatty. I don't know why, but I see nothing. Literally nothing. So I'm going to sit here, because it says here, swipe left to reveal comments and reactions. That's to the right, that's left, nothing. Normally, like I said, you guys are usually pretty chatty, but this morning it's just been me monologuing. So if you have questions, I'm going to say, put them in the comments. I'm going to answer them afterward. I'm going to log off pretty soon, and then I'll just be on, and we can maybe do it via text if need be, because I can't see a thing here. Sometimes Facebook Live will do that, where you really don't see the comments that are coming up. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to say, hey, remember this. There is space between Stimulus, so the action, your child having a meltdown, everything that's going on in your life, that's shit. All right, in that moment, there's space between stimulus, response. Response is what you do. It's how you act, it's what you say. You get to choose if you're going to be a manager or a leader. We went over this on Friday. Managers micromanage. They control. They decide what's going to be done. They're the ones who have to do things right. Okay, get it done right. It has to be done this way. And then there's a leader who does the right thing, who leads through it, who sets the example. So you decide, do you want to manage people? Do you want to manage the situation? Or do you want to lead through it? You can be a leader or a manager. There's a big difference. Stimulus, response, space. By holding that space for your child, you are teaching them that there is space between their stimulus, whatever's happening to them, and how they react to it. There is as much space as there is emotional maturity. Not number maturity, emotional maturity, spiritual maturity. It has nothing to do with intellectual maturity at all. Nothing. It has to do with emotional and spiritual maturity. Again, stimulus, response, space. You create it. You are the creator of your destiny, of your present and your future. Create a legacy with your children. So, it has been Mornings with Mary. It's been kind of short today because I can't see any of your comments. I'm going to answer them down below. So, put your questions down there. I will still be on, just not be live because I can't see them. And we're going to go from there. I will see you guys tomorrow morning for another episode of Mornings with Mary. I'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.